It's business decisions. That's the way that goes. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. You were quick.
Wait a minute. I get to go first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You want to battle?
So, good segue. Could you compare, contrast focal plane array to the 8 megapixel imager in my cell phone?
At the fundamental physics, solid state physics level, it's the same thing going on. In your cell phone, you have a thing called a charge-coupled device, which is a silicon-based sensor, and the light comes in and strikes the silicon, and light goes in one side, and a little tiny, tiny electrical current or voltage can be sensed on the other side, and then there's electronic processing that takes, you have 8 megapixels? That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty decent. The one there, Kepler, was 95 megapixels. Let me just go back to that if you're interested. Okay, this was the focal plane for Kepler. It's 95 megapixels total. It is a mosaic of 42 individual CCDs. There are 21 modules. Each of these 21 modules is a square, and you can sort of see a line. Each of those modules contains 2 charge-coupled devices, and each of those, which way did it go? Okay, each one of these CCDs is what's called 1K by 2K, so 1,000 by 2,000 pixels. So there's 2 million individual pixels on each one of these little rectangles, so 4 million pixels on each of these square modules. So 2 of these would be 8 megapixels, which is, but these are obviously bigger than your camera. These pixels, your digital camera, and especially the cell phone, have tiny, tiny little pixels, which is actually a good thing. That is a technology that has been pushed. Going to smaller pixel sizes is something that's very useful scientifically, but the market wasn't big enough that it didn't push companies, in that direction. But if they can sell you a new cell phone every year, with a new camera, there's a big market out there for little CCDs that go in cell phones that are relatively cheap and relatively high performance. So, yeah, so 2 of those guys is equivalent to your, I bet you this cost a little more than your than your cell phone.
You have a highly educated workforce, and I'm curious in terms of how it is that, how many you recruit outside of Colorado, how involved you are in terms of, or what are you finding in terms of being able to look locally for the kinds of expertise and educated workforce?
Yeah, nice question. Yeah, let me say a few things about that. We have about 2,800 employees at the moment. They say that, we have a lower than average voluntary turnover rate. Our turnover rate is only about 3% per year. So maybe 150 people a year leave the company for retirement or other opportunities or whatever. In a very good year, we will replace those plus add a few. Okay, we don't go through these big swings of hiring and layoffs or something. It's a little bit more steady state. So a few years ago, we hired 350 new people in a year, and the HR department said that was exhausting. that was a huge influx of new people. So that's only 300 or so a year. We hire, at all levels, ranging from very senior people down to what they call fresh outs, the bachelor's degrees. And I'm only talking about the scientific and technical staff here. Well, the search is always as wide as they can make it. The search is, so internet-based these days. We do recruit. We have an HR department that has a presence at college job fairs, and there's about 4 or 5 people in our HR department who do that. Their job is to go around the country to job fairs on campus, and they recruit probably half of the new people we bring in every year are from there. Now, we take as many, in-states as we can. We have an awful lot of people from CU Boulder. We have a lot of people from CSU and Fort Collins there. So we hire a lot of people from in-state, but there's no, target number. There's no quota or anything that we have to hire a certain number there. And that is true for all other demographic variables as well. There are no firm quotas. What they try to do is find the best person for each job individually, and the demographics shake out as they do. But on the other hand, they're very conscientious about trying to make it as a diverse a workforce as they possibly can, and it is successful.
One
Okay.
more here.
Okay, yes, sir.
Actually, I have two questions.
Talk to him.
In your space research, have you found any elements in space, Mars or Moon, that there are not on the Earth? Minerals or elements?
Not recently that I'm aware of with any of our equipment. There is one, the most beautiful example of that, though, is the element helium. The element helium was discovered in the spectrum of the sun before it was ever known on Earth, and the name helium comes from Helios, which is a Greek word for the sun, and that element was identified on the sun before it was...
Okay, just one.
Okay.
My second question is, when you consider outside of the United States, companies outside of the United States, is there anybody that has comparable technological or scientific capabilities that you do, companies outside of the United States, and if so, who are they?
The Europeans have many very competent companies. Eads Astrium, British Aerospace. Eads is a company that is a multinational company in Europe. They're in Germany and in France primarily, but in other places. They are building the European Space Agency's contribution to the James Webb Space Telescope. So yes, I mean, the aerospace companies in Europe are quite capable. There is an aerospace presence in Japan and China and Russia and India, and they are capable, but I would say that, they're at the AAA level. We're the big leagues. But they're doing well. They're getting better. The one technology where the U.S. still has a significant advantage, but it's fragile, and that is in the area of detectors and focal planes. I already mentioned that the visible light charge-coupled devices and silicon technologies, the scientific grades of those, we go to England. We get them from England. Yeah. So.
Thank you, Dr. Ebbetts.
You're welcome.
Thank you.